Some countries are sitting on a fortune: oil, minerals, land, yet their people are poor and their leaders are billionaires. This isn't an accident. It's not bad luck. It is by design. The entire system is built to produce this exact result. And here's how it works.
To understand it, you have to follow the money. See, natural resource wealth doesn't just spread out evenly. It flows to one single point.
Think about it. You pull oil from the ground. Great. But to sell it, you need a government license. To ship it, you need government permission. At every single checkpoint, the state controls all access.
So the wealth doesn't flow outward to the people. It flows upward to whoever controls the state.
And this is the core of it. The state becomes a valve on a giant pipeline of money. And whoever controls that valve controls everything.
Now, this system isn't new, and to understand why it's so incredibly hard to change, you have to look at the original blueprint.
During the colonial era, these economies were built for one purpose: get resources out of the ground and ship them overseas. That's it. Roads didn't connect towns, they connected mines to ports. Then came independence. The flags changed, but the economic wiring didn't.
The system stopped serving outsiders. That's true. But it was never rebuilt to start serving the people who actually lived there. And this isn't just an internal problem. You see, external forces, foreign companies, even foreign aid, actually reinforce this exact structure.
I mean, put yourself in the shoes of a foreign company. What do you want? Predictable contracts, stable access, one signature on the dotted line. What you don't want is political chaos or having to negotiate with millions of people. It's just simpler, right? One deal with one strong leader is just easier, and that leader can guarantee the stability investors need. This creates a natural alliance, and it leaves the citizens on the outside looking in. And here's the twist. It's not just corporate money. Even foreign aid and big international loans flow through that exact same central valve. So money meant to help ends up strengthening the state, not the people.
Which leads to a very grim equation. The wealth is privatized for the few at the top, but the debt is socialized onto the backs of the many.
So let's recap. We have a colonial blueprint, which is then reinforced by foreign money. The result is power gets concentrated, and the consequence is a total breakdown of accountability between the ruler and the people. Look at a typical budget for one of these states. Maybe 85% of the money comes from resource sales, another 10% from foreign aid, and then way down at the bottom, just 5% comes from citizen taxes. And this right here is the critical break in the system. If a leader doesn't rely on your money to rule, they don't need your permission to rule. That fundamental connection is just severed. So if you're that leader, what do you spend money on? Not schools or hospitals. Those things don't keep you in power tomorrow. You spend on what does: the military, the police, the intelligence agencies that crush any opposition. Security is immediate. So how does all this state cash become personal cash? It's a simple mechanical process. A public contract is awarded for way more than it actually costs. A shell company gets paid. The money is wired abroad, fast, and then it's parked safely in offshore accounts or real estate. The key part is the speed. The money is pulled out of the system before it ever has a chance to circulate in the local economy. That's why you see so many half-finished projects. The money for them has already left the country. And you see this exact same pattern again and again in different countries, with different leaders, across decades. This isn't just about a few bad individuals. This is about a repeating structure. Because the global economic system rewards stability. It rewards predictability. It rewards centralized control. What it doesn't reward is messy, complicated, democratic reform. Leaders learn that lesson very quickly. And this is not just a story about one part of the world. This is a story about power. It's a universal principle. When you concentrate money and centralize power in the same place, the result is predictable. So we have to reframe the problem. The issue isn't a lack of wealth. The issue is a system that's been perfectly designed to channel that wealth in only one direction, up. Which leaves us with a final structural question. As long as this system remains in place, with money flowing inward and power gathering at that central valve, who does it all really benefit?